Absolutely. And that's what these spaces are for. It's for the reality of what I've allowed in the human aspect of this. Because when this whole thing opened to the recognition of each moment and I became unable to move out of the moment, that phrase that's always been with me, it's all love, started being the next process. It was already happening, but it became very conscious direction. And so then I started to look at my life at things that did not look loving and started to explore them bit by bit, tenderly. And those two ended up being loving, not in the action of someone reacting, right? That's the part. But even that is still love. You have to be the person to find out how it's love. We don't get to find out. So when we see stuff happening over there and judge it over there as whatever, all we've got is one finger pointing forward and three back. So somewhere inside of us will be exactly what we're pointing to, but it might show up in a totally different way. Mm-hmm. And that's what you spoke about earlier. It's all us, but what's mine, right? So I was told, not like whatever, 2 weeks ago, that a person who was in my life before was still angry with me, even though I've not really had contact with that person for 20 years. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then in the night, when I was just awake in the night, I remembered that and went, huh, that's kind of funny. I wonder what's going on with that person. I wonder how they're seeing whatever to be angry with me. And then up came my own judgment of it was he feels guilty, which may or may not be true. Without him there, I can't ask him. However, it was a strong example. So I look back. I'm guilty. Where's the guilt? Where's the guilt here? So I used it as a reflection of my own self out of curiosity, and I could find that I was guilty. I'm guilty of making all sorts of mistakes in my life. I'm guilty of not following through with various marketing things. I'm guilty of not posting these videos very much on my YouTube channel. I'm guilty of being a woman. I'm guilty of being pretty darn embodied. I'm guilty of wanting to live my life as fully as I can while I'm here. I am guilty. Yes, I am. There's a difference. So it's not guilt itself, right? It looks like it's not a good because it doesn't feel very good at first. But opening to it and letting it be embodied, it's recognized as love. And it helps me to be guilty of being a woman, to sit in more deeply with my womanishness, because it just happened to be that way. So far in this lifetime, I'm a woman. Or I was a girl, or whatever, you know. But so I may as well go with it. You know? This person's my mother, this person's my father, this person's my sister, this person my twin brother. These are permanent parts of the aspect of myself as a human. So love put them closer to me for this lifetime. Because they'll always be, my father will always be my father. My son will always be my son. So in these places, I like to open even more deeply to being curious, okay, out of all the possibilities, it's these particular flavors of being that are close to me, so I'm going to open up. And it doesn't matter how they are. It doesn't mean that they need to be opening up to me as well. Right? So this is what I mean by what's yours. But it's not a holding on to mine. It's as it is right here, right now.
So I have to often just take what you say and use my wording to put it together. So what I hear you saying, what you're saying is that you're utilizing, the finger pointing kind of thing, right? Because you're saying,
If it's exaggerated outside.
Yeah, outside, and then as the mirror, as it's coming back to you, because you bring it back into yourself.
When there's some energy alive with it.
Right. When it's strong,
or light, it can be just as long as there's some sort of
recognition of
rustling up of yourself,
right,
or curiosity. Just curiosity. It doesn't have to be,
and then bringing that in this direction. I mean, like I look at it as a bit of a mirror, and
exactly.
And then, so you bring it back into this, and that allows you to explore all the things that come up from that.
And really what's happening is you make use of your mind, right? So a lot of people are wanting to get rid of their mind and be thoughtless and yada, yada, yada. But that mind is here and is also God, Goddess, Source, Love. So looking at it from that point of view, then it's like, okay, so what is that and how is it part of the play where it's not so much in the way of living our lives fully? And so it's like that, with that example, someone guilty, who's guilty out there, oh, okay, Canella, what's that energy? And so I don't necessarily bring the guilt in. I'm just aware, okay, guilt's exaggerated out in what appears to be the outside of me. Then I relax, open to see, okay, guilt, I invite you to come along and show yourself if you're here. Doesn't always mean it's here. Something else might show up. But it's just, I find a nice link to what might be happening in me. And then once I find it as energy, I open to it as energy and let go of somewhat. In the guilt choice, it stayed with me until it became very fun. And I'm in the middle of the night being totally guilty and having a gas. I'm guilty of lying in a bed. I'm guilty of breathing. I'm guilty of, hearing my own voice telling me I'm guilty. Right?
So it's accepting what you are, but not punishing yourself
because the
or
punishment
somebody
is
else.
linked in to some idea as if you did it. That comes out of people saying, don't be like this, don't be like that. You should be like this and you should be like that. And it's how deeply embedded we are in that it makes it appear we're the ones doing it. Because when you open to what is, you're opening to what is. Love is opening to what is. And then that's already here if you're perceiving it. So you didn't create it. It's already here. But sometimes it's worthwhile to feel punished. What does it feel like as an energy? You felt it maybe many times. I won't say a million, right? But you recognize, I'm feeling punished right now.
So it's separating the judgment from the energy.
It's acknowledging that the judgment has a place here too. You don't need to believe it out there, but making use of what the actual judgment is saying to find if there's some of that inside. You kind of use it as a key to open to an aspect of yourself.
I'm going to have to spend some time on that.
Yeah. And so that's what I like, to offer spaces like this, because this space is already oriented in that direction. It's a little easier here in Satsang. And it's a little more unusual that this particular way of inclusion of ourselves as a human being. Because often people have said, oh no, that's the little self, or that's the false self, or, all these different ways, and you can feel it, right? It's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, because I was taught to feel guilty for being female. I had no choice, as far as I know. It's just what happened.
Yeah.
And it's society and the people who I've been around. But
right. So you know that there's something that must
taking the judgment out.
Right. You're actually part of creation. So if you're part of creation, what the heck? How could you already be punished for something you didn't do? Right? The other side of punishment is innocence. And then that's feeling pretty loving. But in between those two is the actual energetics. To fall open to that, and then it can display itself, give it space, and then it doesn't get played out again and again and again subconsciously. It's being responded to instead of reacted to. And then with that too, it's not about making that a rule for yourself, because you're human. You cannot help but fall into the more habitual, collective way that we've been taught. But that has to be there too, so you can find these energies and open to them, and this is how love is bringing harmony to life itself. It's creating a quandary, so we fall into the quandary and recognize we can float in the quandary. Quote unquote, Canella. Who else would talk in quandary?